No one saw this coming. Not Elon Musk, not Wall Street, not the trillion-dollar electric vehicle industry, but somewhere deep inside Toyota's secretive R&D labs, it just happened. Something that wasn't supposed to leak. Something that could wipe out the very foundation of EV dominance overnight. No press conference, no flashy reveal, just a quiet demonstration behind closed doors in Aichi, Japan. A single prototype, no battery, no gasoline, no hydrogen tank, just water. And within 48 hours, the shockwave had already begun. $17 billion in EV stock value, gone. Tesla staggered, Rivian plunged, Panasonic went red. Because what Toyota's CEO allegedly unveiled isn't just a new engine. It's a direct threat to everything the electric revolution was built on. Rainwater, tap water, even seawater. The car doesn't store hydrogen. It makes it on the fly as it drives. No rare earths, no superchargers, no lithium, just a steady chemical reaction that rewrites every rule. Sources inside the room described the moment as surreal. One executive stood in stunned silence. Another broke decades of protocol and applauded for 6 minutes straight. And for Japan's famously stoic boardrooms, that's not excitement. That's a seismic event. Because if this tech is real, and early leaks say it is, then the future doesn't belong to batteries. It belongs to water. So before this gets buried, before the lobbyists scramble to shut it down, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with us. Because what you're about to hear may be the beginning of the end for electric cars. Forget everything you thought you knew about hydrogen. This isn't the Mirai 2.0. That car used fuel cells, a separate tank, and complex pressurization. It was clean, yes, but expensive and limited by infrastructure. This new engine isn't that. This is combustion. Toyota has figured out how to burn hydrogen directly inside an internal combustion engine using a modified chamber that can handle temperatures above 2000 degrees Celsius. The result? A roaring high-performance engine that produces only one byproduct, steam. But here's the truly radical part. The engine doesn't store hydrogen, it makes it. Using a proprietary nanocatalyst and a piezoelectric separation system, the vehicle extracts hydrogen atoms from water molecules in real time. That's right, while driving. You pour in water and the car splits the H2O on demand, burns the hydrogen, and exhausts nothing but mist. How much water does it use? Around 5 liters per 100 kilometers. No battery fires, no grid overload, no rare earth metals, just water. And yes, Toyota says that includes salt water. There's no need for ultra-pure lab fluid. You could, theoretically, refill from a rain barrel or a river. So why haven't we heard about this until now? Because this engine is not new. In fact, Toyota started building it 17 years ago under a top-secret program called Project H2X. The idea was sparked in 2008, right as the world's focus shifted to lithium-ion batteries. Toyota was already a leader in hybrids with the Prius, but they saw something others missed: the coming limitations of battery tech. So they began working in silence on a combustion alternative, one that didn't rely on mining, charging, or cobalt supply chains. By 2012, Project H2X had working prototypes, but suddenly it vanished. No press release, no funeral, no leaks, just silence. Insiders claim it wasn't technical failure that killed it. It was pressure. From oil companies, lithium lobbyists, and even their own hybrid partners. EV startups were gaining momentum, and a water engine would have threatened too many existing interests. So Toyota shelved it. The engineers were reassigned, many to the more politically palatable Mirai project. Hydrogen fuel cells were seen as safer, more manageable, easier to regulate, easier to control. But the world changed. By 2024, headlines were filled with EV battery fires. Power grids buckled under charging demand. Lithium mining scandals erupted across Africa and South America. And suddenly, Toyota's board saw something they hadn't seen in a decade. An opportunity. Project H2X was revived in early 2025, and this time they weren't starting from scratch. They dug up the prototypes, 3 vehicles locked away in a temperature-controlled vault in Aichi Prefecture. Updated with modern components, the new test bed hit the road within 5 months, and what it delivered shocked even the engineers who built it. The vehicle accelerates from 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, faster than a Prius Prime and on par with many EVs. Its top speed is 180 km per hour with no torque drop on uphill climbs. Range? A jaw-dropping 760 km on a single 50-litre water fill. And the refueling process? No $2 million hydrogen station, no electric charger, just a garden hose. You connect it to the onboard port, flip a switch, and in less than 3 minutes, the tank is full. And unlike EVs, you don't need to wait hours for a recharge. There's no range anxiety. There's no battery degradation over time. Even more shocking, maintenance is simpler than on a gasoline engine. Toyota's engineers claim wear and tear rates are 42% lower than comparable combustion engines. Why? Because water vapor is the only exhaust. There's no carbon buildup, no soot, and significantly less heat stress on internal components. What started as a buried science project from the 2000s may now be the biggest existential threat the EV industry has ever faced. And what happens next could send shockwaves through every car maker, every miner, every battery startup on Earth. Because the moment this hits mass production, everything changes. And as of this moment, Toyota has already begun internal testing on multiple production-ready variants. No one was ready for the tremor Toyota sent through the electric vehicle world, not even Tesla. Because if what's in this engine is real, then the entire EV supply chain, the lifeline of an industry worth over $1 trillion, just got hit by a silent, invisible tsunami. Inside Tesla's Giga Nevada, panic quietly set in. Battery modules, once seen as the core of sustainable transportation, were suddenly obsolete. Lithium, no longer needed. Cobalt and nickel, irrelevant. That $4 billion Panasonic battery plant in Kansas? A ticking time bomb of stranded capital. Executives from Lucid, Rivian, and even legacy titans like GM were reportedly summoned into closed-door meetings less than 24 hours after the prototype leak. The whispers were the same in every boardroom. If this water engine is real, we're done. It wasn't just the materials, it was the infrastructure. Thousands of charging stations across the US, the entire supercharger network, rendered unnecessary. Recycling startups that bet their futures on dead lithium cells were already slashing staff. They saw the writing on the wall. You don't recycle what you don't use. And just as the industry began to comprehend the technological quake, the numbers started trickling in. This wasn't some sci-fi prototype requiring rare earth elements and platinum-lined fuel cells. The total engine cost, $1,320. Less than one-third the cost of a standard EV drivetrain. No onboard battery banks, no high-voltage inverters, just a small water tank, a hydrogen separator, a piezoelectric converter, and a supercapacitor the size of a lunchbox. The operating cost? A staggering 0.8 cents per mile. That's not a typo. Compare that to the 3.2 cents per mile for most EVs, already far cheaper than gas, and the economics just went nuclear. Even factoring in full vehicle production and energy sourcing, the lifetime emissions of this water-powered car came in 78% lower than the greenest Tesla, including manufacturing. And then came the kicker. Break-even point. 1.4 years. That's how fast an average user would recover the entire premium through fuel savings. After that, it's nearly free transportation, indefinitely. So what kind of magic was buried inside this thing? At its core is something that engineers once called impossible, a piezoelectric ultrasonicator. Using high-frequency mechanical vibrations, it splits water molecules instantly into hydrogen and oxygen on demand, not stored, not compressed, not explosive. The hydrogen feeds a small combustion chamber, while oxygen is expelled or reabsorbed. The energy is buffered not by a lithium-ion pack, but by a dense supercapacitor array that stabilizes current and recharges from the car's own kinetic motion. Cold start? Verified at -22 degrees Celsius, meaning it works in winter. Emissions? Lab-verified, trace oxygen and water droplets. That's it. No NOx, no CO2, no smog. The tailpipe steam on a cold morning is the only clue that anything is even running. And perhaps most critically, there's no hydrogen tank, no compression, no fire risk. The engine generates what it needs as it drives, like a portable power plant that runs on water and air. So why isn't the world cheering? Because some very powerful people are furious. Within 48 hours of the leak, European Union regulators reportedly issued an internal directive to review all synthetic fuel and alternative hydrogen standards. Translation, find a way to discredit it. Oil lobbyists in Texas, blindsided by a fuel source that doesn't involve drilling, pipelines, or refining, called the announcement a PR stunt, even as they privately began lobbying for emergency fuel tax protections. One US senator allegedly drafted a bill proposing a water usage tax for non-agricultural vehicular consumption. A tax on water. You can't make this up. In China, automotive R&D divisions began pulling archived MIRI documents from university partnerships. Reverse engineering has already begun. Japan's Ministry of Economy was reportedly warned that intellectual theft is now inevitable. As the news spread, Tesla made a shocking move, suspending all upgrades to the Cybertruck drivetrain. No official reason was given, but insiders claim it's because Musk himself wants to understand the water engine before committing to another round of electric innovation. Because if even 60% of this is real, it changes everything. Toyota isn't just threatening the EV market. It's threatening the geopolitical foundation of the energy economy. No lithium, no rare earths, no grid dependence. Just water. That one word is enough to cause panic across industries, continents, and ideologies. Because water isn't controlled, it can't be privatized, it can't be fracked. And when technology makes it the fuel source of the future, you don't just disrupt energy, you rewrite civilization. And the real battle? That's only just beginning. The first casualty? Money. The financial quake didn't stop at Silicon Valley. Just hours after Toyota's secret was exposed, oil markets hemorrhaged value. Saudi Aramco, the crown jewel of petroleum dominance, lost a staggering $41 billion in market capitalization in a single trading day. That's not a dip, that's a rupture. Across the globe, Norway's trillion-dollar sovereign wealth fund hit the brakes on its aggressive lithium mining investments. For years, they'd banked on EVs to be the future. Overnight, their crystal ball cracked. They began unloading shares in lithium startups before the media could even spin the story. Meanwhile, India, quietly but deliberately, began signaling interest in becoming a water engine manufacturing hub by 2026. Leaked meeting memos suggest top officials met with Toyota's Asia-Pacific division barely 48 hours after the leak, eyeing rural refueling infrastructure and military adaptation in the Himalayas. The Japanese yen, long battered by inflation, surged back to life. Toyota's stock exploded 18.4% in one trading session, the biggest single-day gain in the company's modern history. And in a twist no analyst had forecast, Russia entered the chat. Kremlin insiders allegedly greenlit a fast-track program to adapt the engine for use in tanks, logistics trucks, and even submarine drone prototypes. But just as the world scrambled to catch up, more secrets leaked, and this time it wasn't from Toyota. In early June, anonymous engineers, rumored to be part of a fired subcontractor team, posted full schematics of the piezo-catalytic hydrogen separator on a whistleblower forum. Within hours, the documents had been downloaded over 4 million times. Japan's patent office confirmed the technology had been briefly registered in 2023, and then mysteriously withdrawn. Suspicion grew that Toyota was forced into silence until now. Internal memos from research divisions in Nagoya and Tsukuba revealed something even more audacious. Toyota had already deployed 10 test fleets across 3 continents under dummy companies. One prototype was field-tested in rural Kenya, muddy roads, extreme heat, elevation shifts. The result? Zero performance degradation. In fact, new lab reports confirmed that even in sealed environments like tunnels or underground garages, The engine's emissions remained non-toxic, just water vapor and trace oxygen. No carbon dioxide, no nitrogen oxides, no soot, not even residual hydrogen. It was so clean you could technically breathe the exhaust. But not everything is perfect. And now, the red flags are starting to ripple through the system. Water, yes, water, could become the new oil. In regions already battling drought like California or parts of sub-Saharan Africa, experts warn that localized fuel demand could overwhelm municipal supplies. We're entering uncharted territory where geopolitical tensions could emerge over who gets to fuel their cars and with whose water. That's not all. The engine's core system requires corrosion-resistant alloys, bumping up initial manufacturing costs by an estimated 15%. Some metals used aren't rare, but they are niche, and the global supply chain isn't ready. Insurance agencies are reportedly baffled. One source claims that underwriters can't categorize the engine under EV, ICE, or even hydrogen fuel cell classes. It's a regulatory no man's land. Municipal governments may even begin to cap daily water usage for public fueling stations to avoid pressure on their grids. And if that happens, EV infrastructure upgrades, chargers, substations, battery backups could be halted permanently. Why build for a powertrain that just got leapfrogged by water and sound waves? The storm isn't over. In fact, it's just starting. Toyota is expected to go fully public with the water engine at the next Tokyo Auto Show. Not as a concept, but with full-scale production timelines. Initial rollout models may appear in Asia and the Middle East first, where EV adoption lagged due to infrastructure issues. Now, that delay looks prophetic. And what about Elon Musk? So far, silence. No tweet, no meme, no press conference. The man who's commented on every world event from Dogecoin to deep state conspiracies hasn't said a word about the engine that could render Tesla's entire mission obsolete. Insiders say Cybertruck production upgrades were quietly frozen pending review, but other automakers aren't waiting. Leaks from Detroit and Seoul suggest that emergency meetings are already underway, with some companies requesting government bailouts just to pivot toward water-based propulsion. As for Toyota, they're not slowing down. A roadmap was quietly submitted to the Japanese Ministry of Economy last week. The target? 1 million water engines per year by 2027. This isn't just the end of electric as we know it, it's the reset button for the entire global auto industry. From Detroit to Dubai, from charging cables to cobalt mines, everything is now hanging by a thread. The revolution won't be televised, it will be unleashed with the turn of a key and a splash of water. If this is just the beginning, you won't want to miss what comes next. So hit subscribe and stay ahead of the shockwave.